Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever, Spotlight Edition. On today's episode, we have public relations expert who has advised presidents, worked with Academy Award and Grammy winners, and even lectured for Bill Gates' leadership team. Yes, that's right. We have the one and only Michael Levine joining us today. Today, we're going to dive into the topic of identifying your broken windows. We all know that success lies in the details, and Michael is here to assist growing businesses in pinpointing those little issues that can create significant problems, inefficiencies, and even negative brand perception. But that's not all. Michael will also guide us through the secrets of super success. We'll learn how super successful people think and behave to achieve the best results possible from all their efforts, and how you can too. So get ready for an informative, engaging discussion as we uncover the secrets to improving your business and marketing strategies. So without further ado, Michael, welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever, Spotlight Edition.
Hello, Craig, and thank you so much for sharing your valuable audience with me.
I was thinking we've known each other for 11 years.
It feels longer.
It does.
I mean, in a good way. In a good way.
We've been through ups and downs.
Yes,
and
we have.
lefts and rights and everything. So
all of it.
I want to, for the sake of the relationship, for the sake of the show, I want to share how we started our relationship.
Okay.
And you and I both spoke at an event, and you followed me, and I had left my presentation slide on the screen, and you had started the event with, "I'm not going to ask you for any money. I'm not going to ask you about your wallet or your credit card." And it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. But one question that the audience, someone in the audience had asked you was, "How did you get your first A-list client?" And your answer was so profound that I just had to connect with you in some way, shape, or form. And do you remember the answer you gave for that?
I do.
Can you share that?
Of course. So the setup for the audience is this. We're in a room of a couple hundred people, and the couple hundred people in the audience are very earnest and very anxious to learn and grow and excel in their work and professional lives. And so a question was asked of me, "Michael, you've had so much success. You've represented the biggest celebrities in the world, very, very famous people. How did you get your first celebrity? How did you do it?" And I said, "Now look, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to tell you, but I'm not sure you're going to either enjoy or appreciate the answer very much." To which the questioner looked a little puzzled, and I said, "Okay, now do you want the answer?" "Yes, I do." "Okay, audience, do you want the answer?" "Yes, I do." "Okay, here's how I did it. Write it down now. Here we go. Here's how I did it. Somehow." And of course, the audience looked puzzled. But over time, I went on to elaborate that the somehow was meant to be a metaphor to the front door, the back door, the side door, the chimney. And we can use it in all kinds of other analogous ways of how people get things they really, 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 really want. If you really, really want something, you will very often, through enormous resourcefulness, find a way.
Yeah, it was profound. And, I want to share a little bit more of our journey together, and then that will set up, I think, the rest of, or a few more of the secrets of super success. I had reached out to you on Facebook, and, knowing who you are and what you've accomplished in your life, I just assumed you're too busy to talk to a guy like me. So I figured the best way to communicate would be through Facebook Messenger, right? And you just respond when you have time. And so we went back and forth a few times, and you said, "Hey, if you're ever in Beverly Hills or if you're ever in Santa Monica, give me a call and we'll have coffee," or something like that. So I found myself in one of those places I purposely put myself in that place,
Mhm.
and I was trying to set up that appointment with you on
Sure.
Facebook,
Yep.
and you ended up giving me a call saying, Craig, I gave you my phone number. If you want to talk to me, call me, buddy. Okay, bye. And I thought, oh boy, I have ruined it. I have just ruined this opportunity.
No, no.
And sure enough, a day later, at the same time was texting you, your office called, you spoke to me and you said, "What's up?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, thank God. I have this opportunity to be in Santa Monica, and would you like to
Yeah.
have coffee?" But the
Sure.
lesson there was communicate the way people want to be communicated with. And
Well,
you,
I think you're right. I think as usual, you're right. I think there's more lessons there.
yeah,
Here's a challenge I would offer your listeners. Why is it that so many people today, initially it was young people, but now it seems that the virus has grown throughout our entire population. Why is it that so many people seem to be hiding on planet email or planet text? And so that's a question that I'll use as a rhetorical tool. That's a question. And I would also say this, Craig, and you may differ with me on this point, and your listeners may differ with me, but I'm going to make a statement that I believe, and here we are. Often, not always, often, not always, email and texts are fertile gardens for misunderstanding and confusion,
yes,
right? Often, not always. Now, if you're going to be late for a dinner 5 minutes, there's nothing wrong with saying see you in five, right? So that's pretty clear. But if you want to negotiate a peace treaty with Hamas and Israel, I don't think we're going to email our way there.
no.
So, but anyway, thank you for that.
Well, let me ask you a question. You deal with some of the most successful people on earth. Do you find that some celebrities rely on texting more than phone calls?
I have found exactly as a metastasizing cancer. This virus that began with young people, you want to use it as an analogy of the virus, has transformed our world. It is metastasized like a cancer to all aspects. However, I do feel that not all people do it. The brightest of bright understand where an email is appropriate, a text message is appropriate, and where a phone call is appropriate. Now, the secondary group, the less bright, seem to be very confused by it. And they also have this subconscious fear that somehow they're disturbing someone. As if 14, to arrange a coffee today, I see it happen all the time. People will send 14 emails over a week and a half period to others to arrange a coffee, when a 3-minute phone call would accomplish much more. Now, isn't that interesting?
Yes. Yes.
It's also interesting, but anyway,
You have a quote saying people are where they are because of who they are.
yep.
Talk about what that means.
Well, to my mind, it's somewhat self-evident. Where we are in life, both personally and professionally, is virtually always, not always, there are exceptions. There's very little always or never in the world, but virtually always, a manifestation, a reflection of the sum total of many thousands and thousands of choices and decisions that they have made. people are where they are because of who they are. And there are, as you know, Craig, because you're a teacher, a student and a teacher of this, and a damn good one, by the way.
Thank
No, you really are. I look to, I will tell the audience very openly that I will call you a couple of times a year for advice and counsel. You'll say, well, Michael, how could you be calling? That doesn't make any sense. It makes complete sense. So, where we are in this world is a reflection of who we are, how we have chosen, how we behave, how we act, how we think, how we read, how we, what we do, what we don't do. And so, and there are success leaves clues, and so does failure. Success leaves clues is a somewhat well-known phrase within the personal development community. But I always thought it was lacking in this way. Success does leave clues, but so does failure, right? And I think both are worth studying. If in America, it would appear to me that success is a subject that has been overstudied, and failure is a subject that's been understudied. And what I mean by that is if you go on Amazon or you go into a bookstore and you say, can you show me some books on success? There's a mountain, right? If you go on Amazon, there's a mountain. If, on the other hand, you say, can you show me some books on failure? There's probably a half a dozen. And I think they're very important topics to understand in both ways.
So you also say the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Correct. That's exactly right. And it's the same kind of thing. If you have a consistently sloppy car, right? Now, I don't mean if you have a sloppy car for a day or a week. If you've just moved houses and your car is sloppy for a week, that doesn't really tell us anything except that you've moved. But if you have a consistently sloppy car, my dear friend, you, though you may not know it, have a consistently sloppy life. You have a sloppy refrigerator. You have a sloppy mind. You have a sloppy way of living your life. Now, you may say, well, that's very judgmental. Perhaps, but...
It's my son who just graduated from college. I have said, his car is very messy. And I say, hey, look, you go on a job interview and they walk you out to the car and they look in your car and see how messy it is. They're going to judge you on that. That's because that demonstrates who you are.
I do agree with that. I would also say this, Craig, to him. I would say, son, may I share something with you that's interesting? And he may say yes. I hope he'd say yes. Son, people who live in poverty, not affluent people, but people who live in poverty. Let's not talk about non-affluent. Not talk about middle class. Let's talk about people who are in poverty. They have virtually no similarity of rootage. I mean, they're black and they're white and they're gay and they're straight and they're young and they're old and they're fat and they're thin. They have no similarity except this. There is one commonality of all people who live in poverty. Every single one of them lives a disordered life. So, son, if you think a disordered car is more likely to get you a prosperous life, then you should try that out. I don't think the evidence supports that, and I think you're going to live to regret it, but you may have to learn that for yourself, son.
Yeah.
Disordered lives are at the root of all poverty, and all affluent people have ordered lives. Now, they may have dysfunctional lives in other ways. Doesn't mean they don't suffer from all the same things that, they get cancer, they become alcoholic. There's all kinds of
Yeah. That
things,
still
but
happens.
disorder, I would appeal to his sense of desire. Son, if you want to be prosperous someday, I would encourage you not to live a disordered life. But if you want to live a disordered life, it's probably going to affect your income level quite a bit. You may be having many of your birthday dinners at Subway unless I pay for them. But if that's how you want to roll,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't order the tuna, though. I'll tell you that. If you go
Yeah.
to Subway for your birthday, don't order the tuna.
Yeah. Well, we have talked. We've had lots of people come in and out of our lives, expressing interest in you, knowing you. They've attended the 3 O's of Super Success presentation, and then they want to talk to you and be friends with you and everything. And we say, oh, they show signs of talk, but no action.
Yeah. Well,
So
look, 95% of, I don't know, 90% of the world, if we broke the world down, if we went to an airport in Los Angeles or New York or Chicago or Detroit and we rounded up 200 random people, 90% of them, that would be 180 of the 200, would fall into the category of talker, not doer.
Right.
About 20% would fall into the category of doer, not talker. They're impeccable with their word. They say dinner at 5:30, they don't mean 5:45. They're impeccable with their word, principally to themselves. So, yeah.
I love this topic, the secrets of super success, because you have worked with some of the top people in the world, best known celebrities, top in their field in law or professionals, movie studio executives, everything. So you are starting to coach and consult after working 40 years in public relations. Why are you now starting to consider consulting or coaching?
Well, there's all kinds of answers to that question, but I am going on a new journey. First of all, I'll be very open with you, Craig. I think I've told you this off air. I've had 3 friends in their 70s, close friends, vibrant friends, who have made the decision in the last 3 years to retire. And dear brother, I will tell you, it's not a good advertisement for retirement. Their lives become smaller. Their minds become shrunken. Their dialogue becomes limited. The center of their day, the center of their week, the center of their life is going to Costco or searching the internet for what a scumbag Donald Trump is, or, something of that sort. It's not a good advertisement. So I don't want to retire. But what I do want to do is take on a new adventure. And this adventure is the realm of consulting and coaching. I've been very affected, both from an enjoyment point of view, but also other intellectual ways, by the watching rather often of Shark Tank. And so I see these young, enthusiastic, often between 30 and 50 men and women, gay, straight, black, white, young, old, and they're all super enthused. They all think they've got the greatest idea in the world. And of course, what they're doing is they're begging the sharks for money, 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 money. They want money. But what some of them seem to understand, as importantly as the money, is the mentorship. Darling, if you have a business and you've got Mark Cuban on your team, that's a good deal, even if he doesn't give you 5 cents.
Right.
That's a good deal. See, that's like that would be like playing a pickup game of basketball with Michael Jordan on your team.
Right.
That's a good deal. See, so I want to offer people, a certain kind of person, some advantage in how to get from point A to point B in a more efficient way. You know, if you're living in Boston and you want to drive to Los Angeles, right? There is a straight path that you can drive. There's an efficient straight path. Or you could go to Boston, and you could stop in New York, and then you could go to New Jersey, and then you could drive down to Georgia, and then you could go to Florida, and you come back up to North Carolina, and then you could go up to Chicago, and then you could travel back to Boston, and you could go back to Milwaukee, and then you could go to Denver and so forth and so on. It's not efficient. So I think that this program I've set out of coaching and consulting people, both personally and professionally, right? What is very important before people very often want to know, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I'm more interested initially in what do you need to stop doing? See, if you have a boat and it has a massive hole at the bottom, and you want to sit and talk to me about the color of the boat, and can we get a cool stereo on the boat? Do you think the boat should have Venetian blinds on it? And, what type of... This is all irrelevant until we get the hole fixed, because a boat with a hole is not sustainable. Well, lives are like that. So I hope to find very motivated people who are serious, that are doers, not talkers, that would find this of deep value, educational value.
Yeah. First I want to, in a moment, we're going to get into your Broken Windows book, but I want to ask you,
Okay.
You've written 19 or 20 books so far?
19.
19 books. What made you write the first book? What intent did you have in writing the first book?
Sure. It was brought on, as Bob Dylan said, by a simple twist of fate. It was brought on by a simple twist of fate. A lot of my life has been unexpected. And I had an opportunity. I was doing something at the time, and I had an idea for what I thought would be a good reference book about how people, average people, could contact famous people for various reasons: charity, autographs, any kind of thing. Now, there was no email at the time. There was no texting and so forth and so on. So it was brought on by a simple twist of fate.
Did you know that by writing more books, you would be perceived more as an expert or authority?
I think I came to conclude that over time, I came to understand that there was this tremendous correlation in many people's minds with intellectual credibility in book writing. Now, that's changed a lot in the current world, because 30 years ago, you couldn't self-publish. If you self-published a book, you were thought of as kind of someone who couldn't, get a book published. All of my books have been published by major publishers.
Right.
So, but there's no stigma to self-publishing today, but there's also a lessened credibility. What happens is people self-publish their books, and then some huckster will come along and tell them for $97 3 times a year, I'll get you a #1 ranking in Amazon as an Amazon bestseller.
Right.
Well, anybody can be an Amazon bestseller if you pay money,
Right.
But that doesn't mean much. Now, the New York Times means something, but the Amazon bestseller list is a charade but people like charades.
Right.
Think about all the people in the world that are just drawn to the circus of appearance.
Right.
And so, anyway, but it does have an intellectual credibility. And I encourage people to consider writing books. Lots of my clients want to come to me and say, how do you write a book? And so forth and
Is
so
that
on.
part of your strategy, or your public relations strategy?
Same thing.
Yeah.
I want to know a person. First thing I'm interested in understanding about a person is, to the extent they can figure this out, and it may take them a little bit of time, is why do they think they were born? Why do they think they were put on this earth? They will be on this earth on average, I don't know, 80 years, 90 years, 70 years, some less, some more. Now, if you're on the earth 90 years, you get 29,200 days. If you're on the earth 80 years, you get 28,500 days. That's it. The game's over. Now, why are you here? Were you here to spend your life on Netflix or LinkedIn or porn sites? Is that what you were put here to do? Maybe.
Right.
Or are you here to contribute something or leave a legacy? What would you like said about you in your obituary? Would you be happy with what currently exists? If we wrote your obituary today, would you like if the next 5 years of your life went no better or no worse than the last 5 years of your life? No better, no worse. Would that make you happy, sad, or no opinion? Now, if it make you happy, I'd encourage you to keep doing the thing you're doing. If it make you sad, I'd consider making some changes. If you're of no opinion, then I'd consider you getting a diary and thinking more.
A lot of what you just said is happening in my life in the last 5 to 7 years. I'm 50, I'll be 57
There you
next
go.
month. And so, it's funny how you go through life thinking that you want all these things, and then you find out what your real purpose is kind of after life has given you some experience.
Yeah.
And everything has changed. All my priorities changed.
Yep.
Number one, this, and I'm not afraid to share it, is that I got sober 5 years ago. I
Yep.
tried 7 years ago, but I got, it took 5 years now. And all my priorities changed, including being grateful for what I already had in my life versus chasing the dream that I could never really achieve. So.
Well, here again, let me use this as a metaphor. So Craig allegedly had a hole in his boat. It was large and gaping, and he was sinking. And you better start swimming, or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are changing.
Yeah, I was sinking like a stone for sure.
He was sinking like a stone. So he said, now, my goodness gracious, here, I've got a boat with a hole. And I'm trying all these other things to do, but until I get this hole fixed, not with false comforts, but with real solutions, I'm not going to go much of any place. So there we are. And life does this to us. We're all going to experience difficulties on our journey.
Yeah.
We're going to have parental deaths, spouse deaths, tragedies, car accidents, murders, all kinds of carjackings, all kinds of stuff, bankruptcies. And the question will become not whether we're going to be able to avoid all of them, and we can avoid many, but we can't avoid them all. But what do we do once they arrive?
We're gonna switch topics a little bit, or mainly, you wrote a New York Times bestseller called Broken Windows, Broken Business.
I did.
This is edition number 2, right? Updated
It
version,
is.
which you launched about 2 or 3 years ago.
2 years ago. At the fifth, it was written initially in 2006. Broken Windows, Broken Business was a business book written in 2006. It became a big bestseller internationally, which is quite amazing. And then at the 15-year mark, the publisher, it's a major New York publisher, said, look, this book is done so well for so long. It is taught at virtually every major business school in America. Of the top 25 business schools in America, 25 out of 25 teach the book. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to ask you to do a revision. Put 25% new material. The world's changed in the last 15 years. Let's do a revision.
Right.
And I said, well, that's an interesting idea. Am I going to get paid again? And they said, you are. And I said, well, let's do it. And there we are. And so I put 25% new material in the book. I think it is made it not necessarily a better book, but I think it's made it a more contemporary book, right? See, 15 or 20 years ago, if you went into a bathroom in a restaurant, in a Starbucks, or you could leave the bathroom. If the bathroom was dirty, you could leave disgusted. You might say something to the manager, you might not. But today, if you walk into that identical bathroom in Starbucks and it's dirty and filthy, in your pocket is a cell phone. You can take a picture out. You can put it before you leave the bathroom.
Right.
Before you leave the bathroom, you can share that picture on Yelp or any number of places to thousands of people before you leave the bathroom. So we had to write, or I had to try to update the book, and I think it's a more contemporary book.
So for those who don't know the book and have not read the book, describe what broken windows are and how you came up with the book.
Sure. Broken windows is a theory of business predicated on a theory of criminology. And all I did is take the theory of criminology and move it into business. In criminology, the theory says that if you go into a neighborhood and you see something minor that's disrepaired, like a broken window, graffiti, something minor, right? If the authorities don't fix that minor problem within a quick period of time, 72 hours, it will send a psychic signal to the residents, to the homeowners, to the tourists, that the bad guys are in charge. And greater and deeper and much more significant crime and disrepair will ensue. It's the little details. Handling graffiti, handling broken windows, handling dirt, handling things that seem innocuous really are central to getting a boat repaired. So I just took that theory of criminology and I dragged it into business. And I said, if a person goes into a restaurant and they walk into the bathroom and the bathroom's dirty, it sends a psychic signal to their brain that maybe that kitchen isn't too clean. Now, how many people do you know that want to eat in a restaurant that has an unclean kitchen? Not too many. See? Now, if you go on an airplane, you pull the coffee tray down, and there's a spot of coffee that's been uncleaned on the tray. Right? It's a little spot of coffee left uncleaned on the tray. It sends a psychic signal to your brain that maybe the engine maintenance isn't being done too well. Now, how many people exactly want to get on an airplane where the engine maintenance isn't being done too well? Not too many. So broken windows is all about the little details that matter. And the centrality of taking care of the little details. If you call your dentist and they answer the phone on the 14th ring, and the first thing you hear after 14 rings is please hold, then you probably can make some general assumptions about that office and what the dental care at that office is going to be like for you. anyway, there we are.
So you do consulting for companies that might have some broken windows or who are on top of that. There are obviously many, many companies with many broken windows, but who's the company that you would consult with? What type of company, or what should they be looking for to think about, hey, we need help from Michael
Sure.
Levine?
Yeah, I think there's several different categories. There's aspirational companies. They're companies that have just started. And they say, I know I've got the greatest idea in the world. I just know it. I've opened up this coffee shop and I just know it's going to be bigger than Starbucks. I know it. I know it. I know it. So those are aspirational entrepreneurs, the kinds of people you see on Shark Tank. But then there's also companies that have been around a while and they started out great. But over time, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, business has diminished. Recruitment has diminished. They have become an old, comfortable shoe. And people have, it's just not what it once was. We've all been to these types of places. And, it's just not what it once was. Well, those kinds of businesses and people need, if they can make peace with the fact that the problem is them, not the market, not Trump, not their parents, not Biden. You see, that's a very common thing for someone to belittle and blame the world for their obvious issues, right? So instead of, they're saying business is bad, Craig, business is bad, but it's because of Biden that business is bad. Well, son, business is not bad because of Biden. He may not be helping you, but business is not bad. It's you. It's you. Well, it's Donald Trump. Well, it's my mother. It's my father. It's my sister. It's sexism. It's homophobia. It's this chorus of victimhood, belittling and blaming. No, darling. No, it's you. It's you and what you've done that what's this famous line, Craig, you know it so well. We have no right to tell the market what it wants.
Right.
We only have an obligation to listen to it.
Right.
Who the hell are you to tell the market what it wants? We just have an obligation to listen to it. Now, the sooner you get onto that game, the better off you're going to be. So we have aspirational people. We have people who are just starting in college, finishing up college, like your son, trying to pivot out, and they're lost, and they know they're lost. They were sold on this notion that all they needed was a 4-year college degree. And they were sold on it by their most trusted family, friends, teachers, principals. The young people from 18 to 22 went to college and believed all they needed was a 4-year degree, were told by their most trusted people in their lives. And all of that was true 50 years ago, 40 years ago. See, your mother and father didn't lie to you when they said all you need is a college degree. They were just operating from an old map. Today, college is like high school used to be. It isn't enough. And you can find that out the hard way, or you can find it out the easier way. Depends on how much pain you like, right? And it may require pain to teach you that. But anyway, so there's all kinds of different categories: aspirational, established, young people who want to know how to get started in a meaningful way. There are people on Shark Tank that want to grow their business and become the next Mark Cuban or Mr. Wonderful. And then there are people there's all kinds of people with all kinds of dreams. And it starts with, why are you here?
Right.
Well, I'm good at a bunch of stuff. Well, you may be good at a bunch of stuff, but you're not going to be great at a bunch of stuff. You're going to be great at one thing. You may be fine at 10 things, but you're not going to be great at 10. You're going to be great at one. We all know about the 10,000 hours of mastery. My goodness gracious. Come on now.
So we're getting towards the end here.
Okay.
So say an entrepreneur who has the desire to be at peak performance, needs a little help from you, or a company executive is watching this right now and they say, hey, we got to talk to Michael. What should they do first? And then what should they expect?
Sure. The first thing they should do, I think, correct me here if you think I'm wrong, is they should just go to this new website, michaellevineconsulting.com. Go on there, look at it, see what you think. There are videos on it, there's stuff on there. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. If you feel that inclined to be interested, then we can arrange a telephone call. We don't have to text 46 times to arrange a phone call. We can arrange a phone call. We can talk for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes, and I can rather quickly assess whether or not I believe that I can be of some modest value. From the costs to this program, both from a time and financial point, are really very modest. When contrasted with the cost of wandering around lost in a jungle for years. The costs of time, the costs of it. Listen, if you haven't figured out that if you're going on a journey, it's better to have a mentor who's been on the journey successfully than not, then you're probably not bright enough to have a successful career, life, enterprise in the first place. And we all need coaches. We all need mentors. You've been one to me at times, and a damn good one. A damn good one. And so, but I have no desire to try to convert people to anything except helping them if they desire the help. But you have, like with, you're so candid about this. Craig talks about 12-step program. And I know a little something about it. I've never been in a program, but I've been in Al-Anon. My mother was an alcoholic, so I've been in Al-Anon. And there's two prerequisites to real recovery in 12-step. When you walk in the door, you've got to be able to say two things. And if you can't say the two things, stay the hell out of the door. And the two things are, I'm not okay, and I need help. And if you can't say that with authenticity and humility, don't bother coming. And that's the same thing with mentorship. If you can't say, I need help, I'm not okay and I need help, then, good luck on your journey. You may well need it.
Yeah. I will say that I don't want to say chastise, but I often disagree with Michael's fees and what he wants to charge. So because they're far less than he's worth, in my opinion. So
yes,
if you balk at whatever fee Michael charges you, you are really, really in trouble. Because
we do debate that, Craig, and I am doing that intentionally. And I know you think that's errant, and I understand that and respect it. I respect it. And I've had other people say it as well. Let me be open with you, Craig. I don't need the money.
Right.
I take the money. I don't need the money. And in terms of the lucky life I've had and the gifts I've had, I've learned very It's taken a long time to learn this. You can't keep it unless you give it away.
Right.
So now, for some people, $500 a month is a fortune. For other people, it's like $5. And I don't judge anyone. I say, if it's a fortune to you, get to the place where 5 years from now it won't be. See, not all rich people, not all affluent people are happy. We know this. We know affluent people are not happy. But I can tell you this, while all affluent people are not happy, all broke people are miserable. That I can tell you. Right?
Yeah.
And so if I can help, that's great. Thank you for sharing your audience. Very valuable.
Yeah.
Look forward to talking to
We
to
could
your
go on for hours, Michael, because one of the great benefits of friendship with you, other than your incredible friendship, is what I learned from you. You've done the secrets of 3 O's of super success 100 times, and I've been there, and
I've done them 1,000 times. But
well, in front of me, I've been there probably 100 times, and I could memorize the thing. In fact,
you could give it.
I have 3 journals right on my desk with the exact same notes. So
Yeah.
I've recited it over and over and over again, even though I've heard it, but there's a lesson there as well. But we can
And listen, Craig, you've told it to people. You've told it to clients, people paying you money, and yet many don't act, a few do.
Right.
Because they think, even though they've hired you, they know better. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, except
Well, how's that working for you?
how's that? Dr. Phil did it beautifully. How's that working for you? Or the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right.
But I like Dr. Phil saying a lot. How's that working for you?
How's that working for you? Yeah.
Okay.
We were wrapping up, but I still, you alluded to the 12-step program. And one of the things you have to be willing to do is admit you can't, your way isn't working.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the phrase, brother? Your best thinking
got you
here.
Yeah.
Right here, right now.
Yeah.
Now listen to everyone listening to this. Mary, Phyllis, Jose, Barbara, Hillary, Joe, Frank. Listen. Your best thinking, brothers and sisters, got you right here, right now. Now, if you're happy with that, stay the course. If you're not, think about it differently.
So we're going to wrap up, but I do want to say one thing that I wanted to say earlier that I forgot to is this is Dan Kennedy's one of his favorite books, and he refers to it all the time.
Very kind.
And in fact, he wrote a book called No BS: Management of People and Profits, which was an ode to your book.
Well, it's very kind of him.
So I'll get you a copy of that. I don't
That's
think
very, very kind. And I've attempted to thank him.
Yeah.
I've never met him. Haven't had the pleasure. He's not a friend of mine. He's not a client of mine. I never paid him any money. I'm just grateful.
You know what's funny is that you were very much alike, and yet you are very, very different. You prefer to talk on the phone. He prefers to get a fax. He doesn't make himself available to anyone when he's working, and you'll take the phone in a moment.
Yeah, well, he's also not dyslexic, and
right. Right. But I am privileged to know both of you, so that's
great.
And
I'm privileged to be aware of his work. What we need in this world, this country, is more straight talk. That doesn't mean we have to be rude,
right?
But it does mean we have to knock off the BS, right?
Yeah.
So we have to talk straight.
Amen. So if people want your book, where should they go to get your book?
Oh, Amazon. You ever heard of Amazon?
A little site.
Go on Amazon. You can get it. Broken Windows, Broken Business. I look forward to take a look at the website, Michael Levine Consulting. I'd be most honored to hear from you. Even if you disagree with something, send a note or whatever your preference is. I look forward to engaging with your community. I think you have a great,
Yeah.
great.
Please reach out to Michael. If not, just to say, hey, great interview. Thank you so much. That's how it started with me. I started my 11-year friendship with him via a text that turned into phone calls eventually. But listen, thank you so much for everybody watching. Thank you, Michael, for being here. What a great conversation. And again, I love our in-person conversations, but this one is fortunately beneficial to others who could listen in. We meet every Thursday on the most incredible marketing show ever. We'll see you on our next episode. Thanks so much. Again, thanks so much, Michael.
Thank you, brother. Bye.
Thank you for joining us this week on the most incredible marketing show ever. New episodes are available every week on Thursdays. To receive a free gift pack from our expert panelists and get access to show notes from previous episodes, be sure to visit our website, www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell up in the right-hand corner to be notified of future episodes so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you clicking the like button and leaving a comment on what big aha you got during the show. That's it for today's episode. See you next week.